Welcome everybody to today's webinar on how to sell Wirecast Gear, what makes it unique, what are its value propositions, what are its target markets, how can you access the audience and the target customers for this product that we launched last year. It has been selling extremely well. It's been very popular. We've had a lot of buzz around it. So I am joined by our channel manager, Jeremy Strootman, coming to us live from New York. And I am Andrew, the product evangelist. And Jeremy and I are going to be unpacking this for you guys today to help you, assist you in better repping and selling this product. So I think it's going to be a very useful webinar, and we'll try to make it quick and valuable and worth your time. And just to check, Jeremy, you there on the line?
I am here.
All right. So Jeremy, what I want to do real quick is just go over a couple housekeeping items for people who might be joining the webinar in the program. Just so you know, we are streaming this to our webinar platform on 24, where you can ask questions and type questions. I will be monitoring the questions there, and I'll be feeding those to Jeremy and myself. Sorry, my mic had a problem there. And then and then Broadfield, the guys over at Broadfield will be monitoring the YouTube chat there, and they will pipe any questions that they want us to answer directly. We will be recording this on both platforms. You will be able to watch the on-demand version. If you have to skip out early, no worries. We'll send you the recording. You can use the same link to get to that recording that got you here today. And then just to minimize, quality problems, issues, anything like that, it's always good to close background programs and reset or refresh your browser if you have any issues with the stream buffering, audio, video, anything like that. Other than that, let's jump into it. So what are we going to cover today? So today we will be talking about what Wirecast Gear is. I'll be going over kind of a brief overview of what it is for those of you who might want another description of that or haven't had a chance to really unpack what it is and why it's a cool product. We'll be talking about the sales process, who to sell it to, what markets it serves, and then what resources are available to you as Telestream distributors and resellers of Wirecast Gear. So, and then we'll take questions at the end. And so, and I'll remind you when to start typing those in if you have any, or if anything that we talk about brings up questions for you guys. Sound good? So let's jump in. I'm going to push a mini slide here just to you can keep an eye there on the mini slide on how, if you're on the webinar platform, on what the agenda is, where we're going to be going from here. All right, so Wirecast Gear, what is it and what does it do? So Wirecast Gear was launched last year, and it is an all-in-one turnkey solution for live streaming, encoding, switching, and production. So it's basically a television studio, an ESPN, I like to say ESPN in a box. This allows anyone to have instant access to complete professional production tools for live mixing, live switching, graphics, titling, chroma keying. You can see me right here. We are using Wirecast right now to do this. It's very easy to do. It's super simple to use. Wirecast was built, it's a streaming software first, and then we designed the gear, it to run on the gear so that the gear is an all-in-one integrated solution that has everything you need from your I/O cards, the correct storage and processing powers and CPU cores, the right memory. It has everything you need out of the box to be up and running and doing a production like this in minutes. And you can stream out to Facebook Live, Akamai, YouTube, Wowza, Periscope, all of the world's leading streaming platforms. We partner with over 30 destinations and companies out there, all well-known streaming names in the industry, and all the customer needs to do when they open Wirecast or use Wirecast Gear is log in with their username and their password, and they're off to the races streaming to these different destinations because we integrate tightly with these APIs on these different platforms, and we partner with these companies well ahead of time before they even come to market with some of their latest features or new APIs. So our goal is to make professional production affordable and easy to use and accessible, and we continue to build on that reputation. It's been going on over 10 years now that Wirecast has been doing this, and the Wirecast Gear production system is the first turnkey system of its kind that Telestream has produced, because we saw the need in the market and for resellers like you to provide this total package. Because before, as just software, we'd still offer the software standalone. It's both Mac and PC compatible, and of course you can resell that to customers who want that with custom built solutions if you like. But we also saw this opportunity for a very easy to use out of the box system like the Wirecast Gear. And of course there's a number of features, and we can go into that if you have questions about exactly what all it can do, but you'd be pretty amazed on what it could do. So here you can see the different sort of features that the Gear has, which, and some of the main reasons why it's neat. And why it's such a powerful system. One, it's really designed to be portable and easy to use. It's only 9 pounds. It has only one moving part on it, which is the Noctua fan, which is a high-quality fan that we source from Europe, and is a very, very robust system. It's rack-mountable. It can be tossed in a backpack. It's very durable. We custom designed the chassis and made it so that it would be, the type of system that you could throw anywhere. You could put it on a desktop. You could put it in your backpack and take it on location. Or, of course, and then we also made it a very powerful Windows 10 machine as well. So it's got the ability for customers and you to install custom software on it, like other production software, say, nonlinear editing software or the Adobe Creative Suite. So this can not just be a live production and switching studio with the HDMI or SDI cards, IO cards already built into it, but it can also be a fully functional workstation or computer workstation, as well as a live switching and production and encoding system. So it comes in 3 models: the Wirecast Gear 110, the 210, and the 220. These are just designed at different price points for customers with different feature sets. The main difference between them is the I/O card first. So the 110 over there has a 4-channel HDMI card on it already installed, and the other two, the 210, the 220, have SDI cards installed, quad-channel SDI cards pre-installed. And then the other difference, of course, is the storage. All of them come with a 250 gigabyte system drive for all the system software, the programs, the applications. But then, in addition to that, there's a second drive or several, paired drives that will do video storage, and that is where the storage comes in. So you have 250 gigabytes of additional storage on the 110, 500 on the 210, and then up to 2 terabytes of SSD storage on the 220. And all of them are SSD, great Samsung drives. They're very powerful and fast and perfect for storing video and accessing and writing files, video files. Lastly is our bundled graphics software, which is provided by New Blue Effects, a partner of ours that we ship and bundle Wirecast software with. The reason we do this is because Wirecast in and of itself will never be an elite graphics and titling software. It does have a lot of graphics and titling capabilities built into it, but for the advanced stuff, the custom graphics, 3D animated, hardware accelerated graphics, we wanted to go with pros on that. And so we built a really tight integration between Wirecast and the live titling version of New Blue's sort of award-winning graphics and titling software. So they actually approached us first and said, we want to make a live version of our post-production graphics and titling software. Would you partner with us so that we can basically throw those titles in real time into Wirecast? And that was a request from actually the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting League. They were using the New Blue graphics and stuff on their post-production videos, but they wanted something. They were using Wirecast for their live production, and they wanted better graphics and titling than what was native to Wirecast. So that was sort of what kicked it all off. And now we bundle this just as standard with Wirecast, a basic version with the software. And then on the Gears, we bundle the more advanced versions, which are really incredible. I'll show you some of that software a little later in a quick demo. And basically, all you need to know here is that the software gets more advanced. The standard version on the 110 is basically allows people to design. It comes with templates, but it also allows people to design and totally customize those templates and build their own 3D graphics, titles, so forth, lower thirds, everything. And then the 210 has more advanced like sports scoreboards, features more templates, NDI capabilities, remote control, and so forth. And then the advanced comes with all of their templates, multiple channels of NDI and remote control, more input sources like CSV files, and et cetera. So there's a lot more advanced. And any customer's not locked into that with whichever version of Wirecast Gear they buy, they can upgrade the software on whichever version. So if they buy a Wirecast Gear 110 and they want the more advanced tiling software, they can certainly upgrade the software. Again, that just goes back to Wirecast Gear being an open system, so people can install and upgrade the software that suits them best on that particular model. All right, I think that was enough sort of blathering at you about what this is and all the different features. If you have questions about that, just type them in. I'm going to hand this off to Jeremy to talk about who Wirecast Gear is for, what people have been using it for, and what the sales process is like. While I'm handing it off to you, folks, if you want to enter a few questions, and we can circle back. If there's anything I just brought up that you have questions about, please feel free, type those in, and we'll look at those. We'll circle back and grab them. All right, Jeremy, take it away.
Yeah, so one of the things that the channel and a lot of customers ask is what are some of the emerging markets, or what are the marketplaces that are adopting Wirecast and Wirecast Gear. And it's funny because as a software, I would say that houses of worship, educational facilities, and folks like that were kind of our leading or market leaders adopting Wirecast as a production, capturing, and streaming solution. Since the Wirecast Gear came out, that's changed a little bit. We've got a couple of emerging markets in the corporate SMB space, and believe it or not, national broadcasters. And this was a big surprise to me. So why is that? I believe a turnkey solution, something that is easy to purchase as an all-in-one solution that they can just install in their facility. I think that's a big driver of that. What are they using it for? We've got a couple of case studies that we're going to make available to you to read over. Really in terms of corporate SMB, it's corporate messaging, it's corporate marketing, both internal and external. I mean, we kind of eat our own dog food here at Telestream, and every week we have a company-wide address using Wirecast to broadcast internally. So folks in headquarters building and then folks like myself out working remote can hear the corporate message, right? Furthermore, we're doing things like we're doing now, and we're kind of addressing a wider customer base with it, right? So that's what we're seeing a lot on the corporate SMB side. National broadcasters, quite frankly, we're seeing a ton of people trying to monetize their content or working towards monetizing their content on Facebook and YouTube and other social media platforms, right? So we're seeing a lot of folks that are not necessarily creating new marketplaces, but grabbing those viewers that are kind of working on mobile devices or not sitting in front of the set, using that to pull them back in front of that traditional over-the-air broadcast. Furthermore, sports teams, again, houses of worship, are still adopting Wirecast and Wirecast Gear. Educational facilities, government entities, and live events are always a great fit for Wirecast Gear.
Yeah, and just a note on that, Jeremy.
Sure.
What's interesting is a lot of folks that we've seen in all of these markets. I mean, we always thought social media, Facebook, YouTube, and so forth, and Wirecast has better integration with those platforms than I think any of its competitors. That was just for the small fry, just a person, maybe a school or maybe a little sports team or something like that. But we're finding that the really big fish, they also want to leverage social media, and they're just as interested in it. Somebody like an NBC, radio or whatever, they all want easy, quick access to social media to boost or grow or drive more audience to their sort of primary channels. either or to provide secondary content. So we can talk about that in the in the case studies, and when you talk a little bit about those. But
Well,
it's just
yeah,
interesting.
I mean, just to add, one of the things that's changed drastically over the past year or so is kind of what folks are doing with something like a Facebook or and Twitter and Instagram. As a subscriber, you're kind of passively receiving that content as opposed to some of the other platforms where you consciously have to make an effort to log in at a certain time to view a stream. As a Facebook Live or a Facebook user, you're being alerted real time when events are happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what are people looking for? They're really looking for a better presentation. If we go back to the corporate SMB marketplace, everybody's been using these traditional presentation or web presentation softwares, but they're looking for folks are looking for a better presentation of that, right? And if we're going to some of anybody really is looking for a better social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for a better presentation on that social media presence. They're looking to monetize their video, or they're looking to monetize other physical sales items, right? One of the big things is, and we touched on it before, is ease of use.
Mm-hmm.
The folks that are gravitating towards Wirecast and Wirecast Gear, they're traditionally marketing people, or folks along those lines, and maybe they haven't run a full production switcher or don't have that full broadcast background, right? So we're seeing a lot of folks that are gravitating towards Wirecast just because of its ease of use, because of the fact that, as a novice, you can really pick up the software, jump into it, and start to work with it right away.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew will be showing you a demonstration of the software here in a few seconds. The other thing is they're looking at upgrading older equipment that's in their facility. The reality is you've got audio gear, you've got cameras, you've got other IO in the facility, as well as whatever your switcher, your streamer, or your SD-based solution was. So people are looking at upgrading older equipment that's driving them towards something like a Wirecast Gear because of the flexibility, the ability to leverage older assets. Sometimes you can't just do a whole rip and replace. You've got to change aspects of the environment slowly but surely to get up to an ideal solution, right? And so because of that flexibility, because of the fact that Wirecast Gear is a Windows box, and we allow you to install additional software and or drivers, it's a huge factor there for folks that are looking to not only use it for the purpose-built solution it was made for, but also utilize it for other things. You mentioned installing NLEs or maybe other graphics packages.
Yeah, and there's actually a question that Broadfield said, I think it must have occurred from the YouTube chat here. And so on that note, someone's asking if they can install the Grass Valley EDIUS software on it.
Yeah.
And, to be honest, I've never installed Grass Valley EDIUS software on a Wirecast Gear, but if it's compatible with Windows 10, then it's totally possible. There's nothing
that's
that
right.
we put on the box that limits you from that.
That's right. I've got various softwares and hardwares that I had laying around when I first got my Wirecast Gear box, and the first thing I wanted to do is see what things I could plug into it. I've got old legacy stuff, like really old webcams and USB monitors and just random stuff, and I was able to run the drivers, get all of that working. I've installed third-party software on it. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a Windows 10 box. It's really fast. I don't recommend trying to edit and do a webcast at the same time, but to grab your camera ISOs, grab the program cut or the line cut, and to be able to save that, archive it, edit it later in another editing platform like EDIUS. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, so the last point on that slide before we just jump into a quick demo to show folks, because it's better to show than to just talk about it. World-class support, world-class warranty through the Gear Care program. One of the things that we've seen consistently, particularly with large orders of this, multiple units, the people ordering them want to make sure they're going to be taken care of. That if anything goes wrong, we will support it, we will replace it, we'll do parts and labor, all that stuff. Can you talk real quick about that, Jeremy?
Well, yeah. So one of the nice things about it, and this is a great item for the channel, is there is a warranty and support with Wirecast Gear. We take care of the hardware for a year, and you get support for the first 30 days to help you get things running and iron out some of the bugs. But one of the nice things with Gear Care is it's pretty inexpensive. For under $1,000. The customer has taken out a full 3 years on that premium support. So that's advanced replacement and all of that as well. It's nice to be able to offer that to the customer, and it really takes the burden off of the reseller, if you will, or the integrator to be able to just pull it and get an advanced replacement in-house to if anything should go wrong.
Yep. That's a great point. So there's a few more questions that I think we'll save for a little bit. Let's dive into a quick demo so we can show folks kind of what we're talking about. This is really what I want to show you is just how quick somebody can get up and running and streaming with this software. So just make sure this fits my screen here. This is a Wirecast Gear that I'm showing you this on. All of my slides, everything, it's all running on a Wirecast Gear. So what you're seeing here is exactly what the customer and what you'd be selling. And so this is Wirecast Pro software preloaded on the Gear. I don't have time to go into everything. If we have demos, we can do trainings for you if you have any questions. But basically, it's as easy as, say, coming down here, and this is just a simple sort of Photoshop style stack where whatever's on top gets layered, and you're just layering assets, videos, images, and so forth, and composing your shots. But I'm just going to throw in a quick capture shot of my camera. So there it is, right? So it's easy. I just add as many of those as I want, as many shots as I want on that one layer. If I want to add something above, in this case, I'm probably going to add just a new blue graphic or title. So I'm going to come to Tyler Live right here and add that, and it's just going to have a generic one. I can actually load up the Tyler Live software by just clicking this button, and actually I think it's already open here. Yep, I'm just going to pull this over. So this is the New Blue titling software. You can see they have a number of different templates and already created ones, and I like they're all pretty cool. You can modify these or build your own or whatever just by hovering over them. They'll give you a preview of what it looks like, so you can kind of see how they would build in and build out. I'm just going to grab one and pull it down to my title playlist, and you can make as many of these playlists or add as many titles to a single playlist as you want. And then there's all these variables you can change, like your name and all that. I'm not going to worry about any of that right now. I'm just going to minimize that, and you can see the title's already built and ready to go, and I can customize the name for it in Wirecast if I want. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, boom, add that right there. And then the last step here is to start streaming somewhere, right? So we want to choose where we want to stream. So I'm going to go up to my output menu and select a destination. And I just realized that my auto login loaded, and I just need to authenticate to say a Facebook. So Tom Roberts was the last person on this, and I can choose a page or a profile or go live now. I can schedule for later to Facebook, whatever I want. I have total access to the live API at this point within Wirecast, and I can manage all of my live streams and events. In this case, I'm going to choose my profile, his profile, and I'm going to make it only me, right? So we're going to just hit, I'm just going to do a test, and then we can geotag it if we want. We're not going to do that. And we're going to hit OK. We're going to create the live event, go live now, or again, schedule for later. It automatically posts that on Facebook, and we're ready to go. We're going to hit stream. And now we are streaming live to Facebook right now, and I can take that into the live window. And if I want to take my title on, take the title on, it animates off. I take it off, and we're streaming live. So it's that simple. We're just adding a shot, adding whatever other graphics, titles, elements we want, and then and selecting your output destination. So I think that was under a minute, basically. And so it really is that easy, and that's what people love about this. The software was designed from the ground up to be a streaming internet-based software. So it kind of saw internet streaming, the original designers of this program, long before I think most of the world did. And so they came at it not from this idea like I need to have a switcher with a bank and a DVR bank and upstream and downstream and all that stuff. They just thought what would be the easiest way to build and compose a really good-looking video production and stream it straight out to the web. All right, I'm going to pass it back to you, Mr. Strootman.
Yeah, so a couple of case studies that we're going to be providing for you, and I believe our presentation software here that we're streaming on will allow us to post some
Yeah, they're
assets
there
to
now, actually. So if people
Okay,
click at
great.
the widgets at the bottom, I believe there's a links button for a resources section, and everything we're about to talk about is in that resources section. So people can
Right,
download
perfect.
everything we're going to talk about right now. And then that's if you're on the webinar platform. If you're watching on YouTube, contact Jim or the Broadfield team, and they will get you any of these resources because they have access
Right.
to all this stuff too.
So two of the case studies we're putting out there, one of them is more in depth on the Yes Network or the Yankees, and some of the reasons why they decided to adopt Wirecast Gear and what they do with it. They're really going to Facebook Live. It was really, again, another case of folks that were looking to capture that Facebook presence and then drive people to the broadcast. Sometimes people forget the game's on, right? and that's a way to grab eyeballs and bring them back into the traditional over-the-air broadcast. The other case study that we're going to be presenting is a local affiliate that bought somewhere around 13 Wirecast Gears, and again, their goal is to again capture that Facebook Live presence. So they're really looking to create that second screen experience for folks that are following a story, and you get the 30 seconds or you get the minute-long profile inside of a traditional news broadcast, but want to continue to follow that story online. They're doing that via Facebook Live. So just a couple of really good case studies to present back to customers who are looking to have a better understanding of who's using it, why they're using it, and in what ways they're really monetizing content with it.
Yeah, and we'll be developing more kind of on a vertical by vertical basis. These were kind of some of the early ones for professional sort of broadcasters and people who had adopted early. So stay tuned. We'll keep giving you guys more of these as we develop them.
Right. And in terms of the sales process, we're providing another document that's broken out really by market segment. So one of the things Andrew and his team did early on was really go to the various customers we have in each market segment and kind of develop a unique understanding of what the value add is to those market segments. So it's a marketing sales brief. Andrew calls it a sales not so brief because it is 9 pages long.
Yeah, and we'll be retitling it a solutions brief, actually, I think, eventually. But yeah, it is a little long, but it's very comprehensive. That's one thing. Yeah. It's nothing. No stone is unturned here.
Right. So this is a good document that we're going to provide for the channel here, just in terms of market segment, what folks are usually doing with a Wirecast unit inside of that segment. And what are the unique identifiers or case studies or some of the questions you can ask to help uncover a need in terms of what folks are looking for. So that's something we wanted to be able to provide for you.
Right, and it's downloadable again in the resources section. And one thing I'm sort of remembering here is we provided sales questions, sales strategies, things that might icebreaker questions kind of to get people going, to sort of uncover exactly where Wirecast Gear might solve pain points for certain people in different markets. So,
Right.
and then there's even some comparative analysis against other solutions out there, so you have a little bit of a better understanding of where it fits in the overall ecosystem. And if you see things in this that you'd like to see that aren't in it, please let us know. This can be a living document. We can update it, adapt it, and kind of suit to fit a little bit if there's anything that you'd like to see in this document.
That's right. And lastly, along with this presentation, we will be providing an example setups brief as well.
Right
So,
here.
yeah, I think Andrew's got that. So, one of the things we like to be able to provide as, integration partners and reseller partners is, what are the vast list of things that you can do to, grow a system, or what other manufacturer solutions are available out there to grow a system, right? Or to support a full system. So, we've got a lot of experience with the Wirecast software, being that it's been a software platform for such a long time, with various camera manufacturers, obviously PTZ Optics being one of them. How to control those cameras. Some of the additional I/O, that you might need to support an environment. So we've got a lot of example setups, a lot of information regarding additional manufacturers that you'll be able to look into that would support a full end-to-end solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one
So
thing.
that'll be available to you. So what else? What other pre-sales resources are available? As a team here at Wirecast, or at Telestream, we want to be able to provide customer webinars for you. So if you've got a customer that is looking at a new solution, we will be able to provide customer webinars. If you want to learn more about some of the example setups, third-party manufacturers, and issues along those lines, we've got the engineering support from a pre-sale standpoint to help you out with those various setups. We do have a demo unit program for resellers that are finding themselves with multiple opportunities and want to purchase a Wirecast Gear at a reduced price to be able to seed the marketplace. We've got that available, as well as evaluation units from our distribution partners. Here in the States, that's Broadfield, obviously. We've got training sessions that we'll provide for the customer, either pre-sales or post-sales, should they need some help getting up and running. We just want to be able to provide that to the channel as another avenue of support. We've got video tutorials. Again, since Wirecast's software has been around for such a long time, we've got a vast library of video tutorials down to the most minute functionality, or the most a specific feature that you're looking to bring into a workflow or a presentation. And again, the documentation that we've alluded to. Now, we've only picked a handful of things to put into the resources of this webinar, being case studies, the example setups, and a sales brief. But if you're looking for something more specific, let us know, let Broadfield know, or your distributor. And if you're outside of the States, then we will be able to gather that information for you and provide that documentation to you. So we've got a rich set of resources that were available to help close deals with you. That's really what it's all about.
Yep. We offer a full service house here.
Yes. Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So I was just going to say that, so a last thing we really want to cover here, besides what's available to you, and again, if you don't see something you're curious about, oh, I'd like more video tutorials, or I want an in-person training session or consultation, or you want Jeremy to come shake your hand, just let us know. But we, in addition, we want to provide, and then this is what I was thinking of as we were looking at the example setups document, but we want to be able to provide sort of ideas for you as bundlers, as sort of additional components to sell complete systems. Because you mentioned that, Jeremy, it's It's very, very useful for you to have a customer walk in and just like we're a full service shop, you to be a full service shop and offer them their cameras, their controllers, their cabling, their turnkey and switching system, everything they need, and they walk out the door satisfied, happy customer, ready to stream. Or maybe you go install the whole system for them. And so some things you may want to consider that just go nicely with Wirecast Gear as a few things. So things to consider here. One is external storage. So Jeremy, I know you had a couple examples there. So because Wirecast Gear has over, I think it's 7 USB 3 ports on it, it's really easy to input and output additional storage, additional I/O, everything. And I'll talk about the
That's
I/O
right.
in a second. But Jeremy, why don't you talk about storage?
Well, yeah. So one of the things I noticed, and I'll grab my Wirecast gearbox, is there is, as you pointed out, tons of I/O in terms of USB, but there is a little USB-C port right here on the back of my Wirecast Gear. So I called up my friends at Broadfield, and they sent me a couple of drives. Really simple. Here's a G-Tech USB-C 4 terabyte drive to store tons and tons of content, and they also sent me a SSD one as well. This one's a 500 gig drive. I think there's a terabyte version of it. So yeah, in terms of storage, I personally have tested a lot of these direct attached storage units, as well as NAS capability. There are two, in addition to the wireless antenna that comes with it, there's two wired Ethernet ports on the back of the unit. So I've been able to test streaming from one Ethernet port to various shared storage solutions available on the marketplace as well. And it works great, right? So in terms of storage options, there's plenty to work with there. But yeah, this was kind of fun to be able to test this out and use external storage versus recording to the internal drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
And
that's one thing. People love the 110 if they just need HDMI, but sometimes they want a little more than 250 gigs of internal storage, which is just what comes standard on that. And so
right,
offering an external drive like that is a perfect upsell or bundle for a solution. Another
right,
solution is people get locked in. They go, well, I haven't, I want the HDMI model, but we also have an SDI camera, or I want the option of bringing an SDI. And this was a question that someone asked in the chat as well. How can a model do both SDI and HDMI? So, if you buy the 110, which has 4 HDMI ports on it, what do you do if you have an SDI camera? Or vice versa, if you go up and buy an SDI model, how do you get an HDMI camera? Because HDMI cameras are everywhere, and we all have them in our garage or backyard or office or whatever. So
right.
a great upsell or additional bundle item is to sell one of these USB Magewell dongles. And these are about $300, and they're USB 3, and they're fantastic. And because the Wirecast Gear comes with Magewell, we integrate with the Magewell SDK very tightly. Magewell cards are great. Kind of stay in brand with the Wirecast Gear. Way to stay in brand. And in fact, this gear that I demoed here right now on my desk, let me show you the camera source on my desktop. I did exactly that. I happen to have an HDMI camera in the studio, but the model right here is an SDI model. So I just, I added, if you look here, you'll see all the Pro Quad SDI 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right at the bottom, XI 100 HDMI video. So that's how I brought in this video source. So this is exactly the situation I'm talking about, where just sell one of these little extra units in case people want that flexibility. Now they can always buy a converter, but converters are about the same price usually or more, and sometimes they bust or whatever, and there's more latency when you have to convert. So it's nice to just be able to go in direct to the USB port. So those are some kind of handy bundle items we recommend. Next up, I would recommend, it bundles nicely with cameras, right? Sell some cameras with this system, because what's fantastic here is the price point. When you sell a Wirecast turnkey system and Wirecast Gear turnkey and 4 cameras or 3 cameras and cables, you can usually get your customer out the door for under 10 grand, which is crazy. For a lot of people are looking to think that this type of setup would cost them tens of thousands of dollars more. And what's awesome is that this opens up your markets for multiple sales, multiple units, multiple systems, and give more value. Any thoughts on that, or would you like to? Should we close out with some questions in IBC? Talk about IBC.
We can close out some questions. You know, I will say that there's a lot of exciting stuff that you know, I'd like to talk about but can't, coming down the pipe. You saw in our latest 7.7 release of Wirecast, we've now got the capability of NDI both in and out. I think that was a huge move for us, and I think it was surprising how quickly that was able to come to market once we identified we wanted to do it. Right. There's some other stuff that I've seen that we're working on in terms of Wirecast software and Wirecast Gear that are just going to strengthen the product and will be made available to the customers in the channel when the time is right. Furthermore, there are some channel incentives. I would like to get into detail, but I do know that you know, there's a wider audience outside of just the U.S. market. So depending on what the marketplace is and what country you're in, there may be a little bit of a different spin on some of these channel-based incentives. But we will be announcing something soon here in the States in terms of a channel-based incentive, and we will roll that out across the world, just putting a different spin depending on the marketplace, and that's something that I'm really excited about. So we'll want to make sure that we keep in constant contact with your Telestream representative, with your distributor, to receive those messages and some of that new stuff that's going to be coming along in the IBC timeframe.
Yeah, well, definitely. So stay plugged in with us because there's lots more coming, and this is really just getting started. So there's a lot of cool stuff. All right, good points, Jeremy. So let's take some time to take some questions here before we close out. Feel free to type those in the YouTube chat, and Jim or one of the Broadfield team can pass those along to us here on the webinar platform. In the meantime, in the webinar platform, one question is IP cameras. So Kevin, one of the folks who logged in, is wondering, what about IP or wireless camera capabilities, and what are the options there for Wirecast Gear? So the simple answer here is that Wirecast Gears come preloaded with the Wirecast Pro software, and the Pro software has all of the I/O capabilities for streaming formats, IP formats, and including NDI, and it's also compatible with I'm blanking on the name here. OnVIF, there we go. OnVIF compatible and Bonjour cameras, so it can auto detect a lot of the IP cameras out there that are compatible with standard sort of detection formats. So it makes it easy to grab those IP cameras that are on the same network. And then, of course, it's also compatible with formats, streaming formats that are popular in all IP sources. So most are going to do RTSP, they might do HTTP, or they might even do RTMP, and even MMS sometimes. So it can pull in all those kind of standard popular formats, which makes it basically compatible with almost any IP camera. You just need to configure and point Wirecast at the correct camera location if you have an IP address for that camera or a stream address for where it's hosting that stream. Easy to do. And then with NDI, you'll see a lot more, I think, plug and play stuff with network sources. So very cool. I believe there's going to be an announcement from PTZ Optics about their upcoming line of NDI-enabled IP cameras, which will make it so easy to just grab those sources right over the network. So easy to use wirelessly. As far as your options there's a very simple app that we make for free for the iOS devices, which turns your iPhone or iPad or whatever into a wireless camera on the Wi-Fi network. That's probably the easiest way to get a simple Wi-Fi camera up and running. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at, again, pulling in an IP camera over a Wi-Fi network, which is not always my favorite to do. If you can hardwire your cameras and hardwire your Wirecast system, that's always better. And then the last option for that is you can use wireless encoders, more heavy-duty hardcore ones like Teradek RF encoders, like the Cube and Clip and so forth. So those can be brought in, and Wirecast Pro is fully compatible with the Teradek Stream Reader plugin, and of course you can decode those into SDI or baseband right into the capture I/O card. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, and we see Wirecast and Wirecast Gear users using those devices all over the place for drones and bike races and, like, you know, outside shots and fireworks in Canada. You just never know what people are going to be using it for next. So it's pretty cool, that flexibility that it enables you with all of those types of
I had
sensors.
one the other day with cameras inside a race car, so it was kind of cool. So
It's
yeah.
cool. It's really cool what people do. Okay, so I'm going to let you take the next question here, Jeremy. Will IBC announcements upset customers who purchase Wirecast Gear this summer?
No, that is the nice part about Wirecast and Wirecast Gear. There are no major changes that will, from a hardware standpoint, that will really put anybody in a tough situation, right? The changes, a lot of the good changes that are coming are all software based. So they may be available in Wirecast Pro as well as the Wirecast Pro version running on Wirecast Gear. So that, yeah, there should be no reason that I can think of where you know, any customer would be put in a situation where they bought something today and then, you know, 3 months down the road they turn around and go, gosh, I wish I had waited.
Exactly. And hardware policies with Telestream are a little different than software policies, but I can speak from the software side of things. If we release a major upgrade of a software version, we always have a 30-day grace period. So no one within a 30-day window who just bought and then gets you know, a new version comes out, new major version comes out, and they get stuck with a bill. Oh, sorry, you have to upgrade to that too. They don't. If they're in the 30-day window, we just roll people to the next version. We make that easy for folks. So there's no problems if you purchase within 30-day windows. Hardware may be a little different. I don't know if there's, you know, that might go to warranty or something like that. Jeremy, you need to answer those questions specifically if there's trade-in programs or anything like that. Yeah, so you guys, short answer is everyone should be totally fine, and more than we're not going to leave anybody at the
Right.
creek.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there isn't anything from a hardware standpoint that should be affected too much by that. You know, we've had situations in the past where, you know, an end user has purchased something and realized they really wanted something else, and, you know, we've been able to make that change. You know, we had one the other day where somebody bought Wirecast Pro software, you know, installed it on their own system and everything was great, and they thought, geez, I should have bought gear, and, you know, for the difference they got a gear, right? So you know, we're not penalizing anybody for making a purchase, and then once the real world sets in, you know, they have to make some adjustments, so that's not a problem.
Cool. Well, I think that covers all the questions people had. Jim from Broadfield's just mentioning that PTZ Optics and NewTek just announced the NDI cameras yesterday.
Yeah, so I was reading when we were doing the test here, I was reading the NDI NewTek camera, and that's pretty exciting. It's PTZ and NDI, so, and it's right from NewTek. So that is awesome, and that'll be another way for us to maintain our relationship or continue working with PTZ Optics as good business partners of ours. So
Yeah.
good
Well,
stuff.
and to give a little sort of, in our example setups, we call out their cameras specifically, but here's the sort of funny thing. I think this was so brilliant from them as a branding point, because PTZ really just stands for pan, tilt, zoom auto
Right.
cameras, and those are made by everybody. Like, there's, you know, Panasonic, Sony, they all make PTZ cameras, but only PTZ Optics makes PTZ Optics cameras, but they're just PTZ cameras. So it's funny because really, it's so easy just to naturally fall into PTZ Optics when you're just trying to say any camera that's a pan, tilt, zoom camera.
Right.
And that's really, I thought, clever of them. So we just we plug them, but we're really half of the time what we're just saying is just get a remote control camera.
Right. Right.
All right. So I think that's it. Jeremy, we made it.
All right.
Folks, we want to say thanks for joining us and watching the stream. I hope this was helpful. We hope this sent you away with an idea of how to better sell Wirecast Gear, how it can better apply to your customers and your demographics and your target markets. If you have questions, please email us, email Broadfield. We will be more than happy to answer them and sit down with you and just strategize, whatever it is you want. We want you to sell this. We want you to be successful. We want your customers to be super happy with you and with us. So we will do everything we can to do that. Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us. You are
Thank
the
you
man.
so much, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. And as this will be on demand, available on demand within 48 hours in the webinar platform on YouTube on Broadfield. That's going to be up to them how quickly they want to turn this around for folks. All right. We'll see you guys later.